friends, it's Lisa. So last summer I got my very first Kindle. It was very exciting. I got the free trial of Kindle Unlimited and then I went to go and cancel that and ended up getting another 3 months for like $1.99. But I realized the first couple of months that I had that subscription, I wasn't really using Kindle Unlimited. I think I read like one thing on it, even though there are so many things on Kindle Unlimited that I want to read. I just wasn't utilizing that current subscription as much as I wanted to. So February was kind of the final month that I was going to have Kindle Unlimited with that current subscription, and I thought, why not try and read as many things on Kindle Unlimited as possible before my subscription runs out? Now obviously I can just renew the subscription. It's not a big deal. I just would have to pay or start paying full price for it, which I have yet to do. So I wanted to try and read a few different things on Kindle Unlimited and see if it's something that I really enjoy, if I want to renew my subscription either right away after this current one ends or just sometime in the future. But mainly I really just wanted to take advantage of the current subscription that I had to Kindle Unlimited and try and read a few different things on there. This vlog started out with me thinking I was going to read a few different types of things on Kindle Unlimited. They have lots of different genres, lots of different things you can read, but it ended up just being all romance books, which I'm not mad about, and I'm also not surprised. So in this vlog, I end up reading 5 romances that are offered on Kindle Unlimited and kind of testing if I want to continue the subscription or pick it up sometime in the future and just see if it's something that I actually will use and want to continue to use. And I really just wanted to take advantage of the subscription that I had currently because I hadn't been the first couple of months. So yeah, all throughout February, I picked up 5 different things on Kindle Unlimited to test out, and I will just let you get into the vlog and you can see all my thoughts on the romances that I read. Alright, hello. I have yet to intro this vlog. This is kind of a spontaneous idea. I kind of want to do a whole vlog dedicated to reading books on Kindle Unlimited. And I'm not just going to read romance books. I think there might be some other things on there that I want to read. I probably said this already in the intro, so my apologies. But I did finish a book on Kindle Unlimited yesterday and I wanted to chat about it. So I finished reading Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is in like the Chestnut Springs companion series that is very popular. I've seen so many people talking about Heartless, which is the second book in this series, but I wanted to read the first one before going into that one because I can't read books out of order. I know it probably doesn't matter, but something in my brain makes it matter, so I have to read them in order. But I read Flawless, which is the first one, and I read it in like just over a day. It was very quick to read. And this book, you're following Rhett, who is a professional bull rider. Yeehaw. But Rhett has kind of gotten himself in a bit of a scandal. So his manager is like, you need a PR agent basically to just like follow you around for the next 2 months and keep you in line and make like sponsors like you again, basically, so that the next 2 months while he's still competing in the bull riding championship or whatever. I know they explained all of the rules and all the terms, but I already forget. But basically, he just needs to be kept in line while he's still competing so that he keeps his sponsors. So his manager hires the manager's daughter, Summer, to be his PR agent. And the whole thing is that Summer has to kind of be with Rhett 24/7 while, you know, she is his agent and kind of keep him in line. So she ends up moving into the house that's on Rhett's family's ranch. So the setup is a little ridiculous because I'm like, would she, as a PR agent, have to move in with the client? I don't know, but it makes a fun dynamic, so we look past it. But it's just really about them like getting to know each other as she is trying to keep his reputation in check, and also them going to these different bull riding competitions and all of that. But it was fun. I mean, it's a fun ride. I had a good time. Did I love it? No. But did I have fun? Yes. I think the biggest thing is I just didn't love the characters. I didn't dislike them, but like I just didn't feel super connected to them by any means. So it was like I was having a good time while I was reading it, but I didn't feel like super invested. I was rooting for them, but again, just not super invested. I will say Rhett is kind of like immature at points, so he kind of like would do things that I'm just like, really? Like, especially during the third act conflict, he says something to Summer and like in his head, you're in his perspective and he's like, I don't mean what I'm about to say. I don't know why I want to say it. He's having like rational thoughts about what he's about to say, but then he still says it. And I'm like, he does it just to hurt her. And it's like, I just didn't love that. So he's just kind of like immature throughout the whole book. So that wasn't like the most fun thing to read, but overall, like I still had a good time. I don't know. I really just mainly read this so that I could read Heartless, which is like the one that everyone is obsessed with. And also like you get introduced to the characters that are going to be in Heartless in this book. It's going to be Cade, who is Rhett's older brother. and Willa, who is Summer's best friend. So I am really excited to read that, just like seeing those characters in this first book. I feel like I'm going to like the second one a lot more. So excited to see where the other stories and the other characters go in this series, but the first one was fine. I had a good time. Didn't like get obsessed with it. Like there are a lot of people who are obsessed with this book and I'm like, I respect it, but I'm not with you. But like it was fun. I can understand why people are obsessed with it. I just didn't fully connect with the characters. I think that was the biggest thing for me, but it was a fun time and I'm excited to continue on. Alright, I have started my next book for this vlog and it's Heartless by Elsie Silver. I started the second book in this like companion series. I just finished doing a 24-hour readathon earlier in the day today, so I started it during that 24-hour readathon and I'm now 49% of the way through. I'm on chapter 18, so I'm halfway through. It's reading just as quickly as the first one was, and I also can definitely say that I'm enjoying this one more than the first one. In this one, you're following Cade, who is Rhett's older brother, and we also have Willa, who is Summer's like best friend, and Cade is looking for a nanny for his son Luke. Cade has a lot of really long days like on the farm, on the ranch during the summer, and I think his the nanny he already had is just getting older and can't really keep up with his son anymore, so he has to find a new nanny, and Summer offers Willa up as an option and as someone that can take on that role, and he very much is against it at first, but then he sees how good she is with his kid and he's like, okay, fine. But he's not happy about it. At least at first. And already the setup for this relationship I like a lot more than the first one. It just seems a little bit more realistic, I guess. In the first one, when Summer had to move in with Rhett because she's his PR agent and has to be with him all the time, I was like, that seems like a reach, but okay, I'll go along with it. This one, it makes a little bit more sense. She is looking after his kid 5 days a week, sometimes more, sometimes on the weekends. He's gone, he's not home for most of the day, so it just makes sense for her to be there in the morning for Luke when he wakes up. So it makes more sense that she has moved in with him because it's a similar setup. She gets hired to be the nanny and then she moves in and starts living with him. So it's a similar setup, but I think it makes a little bit more sense in this context. And I also already I loved Willa when we saw her in the first book. I always thought she was really funny in the scenes that we got, and Cade seemed very grumpy, so I was very excited to get to his book, and I definitely like these characters. It's not that I like them more, because it's not that I disliked Rhett and Summer. I still, I like them. I just wasn't as, interested in them. It was just, it was fine. But Cade and Willa, I actually enjoy reading about, and I like reading their dynamic. I also like that this one is set more at the ranch that the family owns instead of them, traveling around a lot like they were in the first one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm having a good time. I don't know if it's gonna be 5 stars, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a fun time. Well, hello. I wanted to update because I have now finished reading Heartless by Elsie Silver. I feel like this is, it started out as a Kindle Unlimited vlog, but now is just slowly becoming an Elsie Silver reading vlog because I think the next thing I'm going to pick up on Kindle Unlimited is the new one that just came out, Powerless, I think is what it's called. I finished Heartless, which was the second thing I read for this particular vlog, and I'm really happy to say I gave it 4 stars, really enjoyed it. I definitely think that this is an improvement from the first one. I think there were just certain things about this one that I preferred and just liked a little bit more. The characters themselves, I liked a little bit more. I liked the just personalities and dynamic between Willa and Cade a little bit more. I felt a little bit more connected to them. I also really liked Luke, who was Cade's son. I not only liked seeing the dynamic between him and Willa grow to love this kid, and Luke really grow to love her, and just the kind of family dynamic that started developing between the 3 of them throughout the book, but Luke himself, for the most part, felt like an actual child. I feel like sometimes you can read about kids in books and it's you start to question if the author has ever even met a kid in their life. Sometimes it's just so not right. I don't know how to explain it, but I think Elsie Silver has a kid, and I think in the author's note or the acknowledgments, she was saying that she was taking notes on things her kid would say and use that as inspiration for Luke. So it was oh, you can tell that she actually has a child in her life and is writing a child pretty like authentically, and it's not like forced at all. But yeah, I really liked the dynamic between all of them. I loved seeing Willa and Luke become so close and seeing Cade like see that and see how special their bond has become, and that plays such a big role into why he cares for her, seeing how much his son cares for her and seeing how she treats his own kid. It was just very cute to see this kind of family type of bond get created between all of them. I also liked the way these characters like communicated. I think that was another thing that like within the third act conflict in the first book in this series, the characters didn't really communicate that well, or they would like say things that like they would be in their head being like, I don't mean this, so I don't know why I'm saying it. And then they would say it and it's like, what are you doing? But this book, it was very much like when the conflict came up, even though I wasn't sure how I felt about the conflict itself, the way they like communicated about it, I thought was well done, because they actually communicated, or they just like, there was one part within that conflict when one of them was talking to the other and was like, I know I'm not handling this well, and I just need like some space to like really think about it. So it was handled well, the actual like communication and discussion surrounding the conflict. It wasn't like frustrating to read. I feel like the two of them just acted like adults. And I also really liked that this book particularly took place a lot on the actual ranch, the actual farm that this family owns, because Cade is kind of the one that's running it for the most part and taking care of it. We see a lot more of it, and we see a lot of the dynamic between all of the different family members, and I thought that that was really fun, because the first one, you're kind of on the road touring with Rhett and Summer while he goes on these like bull riding competitions, so you don't see much of the ranch. So I liked that this one focused a little bit more on the actual ranch, and you saw more of that dynamic between all the different characters and the different family members. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had such a good time reading it, and I gave it 4 stars. I think I said that already. It's one of those books that I don't really feel like I had anything necessarily wrong with it, but it just wasn't a book that I was absolutely like obsessed with. I feel like there are just romance books that I like a lot more, but I still overall like really enjoyed it. So I gave it 4 stars. Hi, I wanted to give some updates on Powerless by Elsie Silver, because I started this last night. I'm now 36% of the way through, so I'm kind of reading it pretty quickly like I did the first 2 books in the series. I feel like these books are just so easy for me to get like sucked in and just read very quickly. But this book is following Jasper and Sloane, and Jasper is a character we saw kind of somewhat in the first 2 books. He's basically like adopted into the Eaton family, who we're following like in the first 2 books. Rhett and Cade and also Bo, they are a part of the family that has this ranch, and Jasper was kind of like adopted into their family after some things happened with his own family and in his past. And then we have Sloane, who is the cousin to Rhett, Cade, and Bo. And Sloane and Jasper become friends when they meet for the first time. She would go and visit her family, her cousins on this ranch, and when she met him, once they took him in, she kind of almost immediately started crushing on him and kind of has had this crush on him her whole life. And now in more recent years, Jasper's starting to realize like he isn't just viewing her as a friend, he may be starting to have these similar feelings that she does towards him. At the beginning of this book, we see that Sloane is engaged to somebody else, but then she ends up becoming like a runaway bride, and Jasper's the one that kind of gets her out of that situation. And then we also find out that Bo, who is the youngest brother and also the one that kind of took Jasper in, like he's the reason Jasper became really a part of this family. But you find out that Bo has gone missing. He's a part of the military and he has gone missing. No one knows where he is. And because Jasper has a lot of like trauma and anxiety, and also like Bo just being such an important person to him, like he really starts to struggle with that. So the two of them are kind of just like not really wanting to face the reality of their situations and kind of want to just get away. And they're kind of given this opportunity to do this little road trip. So the two of them are right now, like where I'm at in the book, they've just kind of started this road trip. They've kind of made the first stop in their road trip. And I, so far, I'm really liking this one. I'm glad I went into it knowing that the tone of this one was a little bit different than the first 2. I feel like the first 2 books in this series are a little bit more lighthearted than this one. This one definitely has some lighthearted, like cute moments between Sloane and Jasper, but the beginning of this book really starts off with like a lot of emotional and hard to read things. There's just a lot immediately at the beginning that's just kind of thrown at these characters that's just like hard for them to navigate. So I definitely feel like tone-wise, this one is pretty different from the first one, and I'm glad I knew going into this book that it it was like that because I think I would have been thrown off if I had gone in expecting the same sort of lighthearted type of romance that the first two are. But I'm actually like enjoying the tone of this book. I actually do enjoy a romance book when it kind of has some more hard-hitting things. It just, I think, adds a bit more depth, or just adds like a different sort of perspective on certain characters. So obviously, like, I'm stressed about Beau and hoping that he's okay. And also, like, these characters are both going through so much, and reading about it is not always easy. But I do like the tone, and I think sometimes like the lighthearted moments really balance out those more difficult things as well. This also is a like friends to lovers romance, which I will say I was a little nervous going into this book because of that, just because I knew that their friendship was established when they were a lot younger. So I was kind of nervous going into this book, just feeling like I might have felt like I was going to be missing something because we didn't see this friendship while they were younger, and I actually don't think that that's the case. I feel like I understand their dynamic and their relationship and their friendship. I feel like Elsie Silver has done a really good job of making me feel like I know these characters and their like dynamic and their friendship without having to get an entire like history of their friendship. We are getting like flashbacks to when they were younger, certain moments between them, and we also see like in the book now in like the current day, we see them like having conversations where they reflect on things that happened and just certain memories that they share. I feel like she's done a good job of making me understand their friendship without having to show me the entire history of their friendship. But what she has shown has made me more invested in it. And yeah, I don't know, I'm enjoying it. I feel like, is this gonna end up being my favorite one in this series? I don't know. But right now, I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a very good time with it. And the way Jasper like handles these situations, how he always just kind of goes into himself. He doesn't like to talk to people about it, and he just likes to like kind of isolate himself a bit. He kind of just like sinks into himself. I'm like, wow, that's me. And he's like socially anxious and he just doesn't like attention on him, and I'm like, that's also me, which I know probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I am filming myself to put on the internet. So you're like, Lisa, you must like some attention. And yes, when I want it, when I instigate it, I am a Leo, so but also like when I'm like with people and I'm in a group, I don't want the attention. Like I don't want people looking at me. So I don't know, I just like, I feel like I am him. I get him. But I also really like Sloane, and I just like their dynamic so far. And yeah, I'm just excited to keep going. Okay, so I'm reading, what am I reading? Powerless. I keep forgetting all the names of these books because they're all like, they have a word list, and I keep forgetting them. Anyway, but I wanted to mention this earlier and I completely forgot, but I love like throughout the books how you still see a lot of the characters that you've seen the whole series. So we're still seeing Rhett and Summer and Cade and Willa, who are the couples in the first two books, and also like Harvey, who is the dad of Rhett and Cade and Beau. I love him. I wanted to say this earlier and I completely forgot, because throughout, I think he's done this each book, he's caught on to these couples and the feelings that they have for each other before they even realize that they have these feelings or before they even act on them. And it's so funny to see him be like, I know what's going on. Like, I just read the little text conversation that's at the beginning of chapter 16, which I also don't know if I've talked about that at all with these books, but like the text conversations that are at the beginning of a lot of chapters throughout this whole series are some of my favorite parts of these books. They're always so funny. But Harvey just texted Jasper and was like, did you find some place to stay for the night? And he said yes. And Harvey asked if it was 2 rooms or 1, and Jasper goes, don't be weird, 1 room, 2 beds. And Harvey goes, I'm not weird, you're the one with a crush on your cousin. They're not actually related. I feel like I need to clarify that. And he goes, she's not my cousin. And Harvey goes, ha, but you didn't deny the crush. And he's so like, he's meddling without really doing anything, but it's so fun to read and I love it. So I have finished reading Powerless by Elsie Silver, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars, which made me end up raising my rating for Heartless to a 4.5. This one I definitely spoke too soon. Definitely not my favorite in the series, but I still enjoyed it. Like I was saying before, this one tone-wise felt a bit different. I think in the second half of this book, it becomes more similar to the first 2 books in the series. I feel like once the romance and that type of thing starts to happen in the second half, it starts to feel more similar to the first 2. But at the same time, this one does feel a bit different to the first 2, just because I feel like this one is less yeehaw. The yeehaw vibes are definitely not as strong in this one as they are in the first 2, but I still enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I think my biggest thing is that I wish we had seen like more on page development with their actual relationship and like the romance aspect of this book, because obviously they've been both kind of pining after each other for a really long time. They've been friends for a really long time, but like the switch from them being friends, pining after each other, to being romantically involved, it just felt like it happened very quickly. And I wish that there was a little bit more build up, a little bit more, maybe there was angst, but I feel like there should have been maybe a little bit more. I don't know. I just feel like there should have been a little bit more development with their actual relationship on page. But the third act conflict I thought was fine. I think it made sense. Both of these characters had things that they had to go through and understand about themselves, and things they had to confront in order to, I think, really be the people that they needed to be for each other. And there was a scene that was really great at the end where Sloane kind of confronts the people in her life that she needs to in order to be able to like move on and be who she needs to be. And I loved that Jasper like shows up for her in that moment and is there for her, but he lets her do what she needs to do. He doesn't like, I mean, he steps in, but he doesn't overtake the situation. He lets her do what she needs to do. Also, I will say, because I love the hockey player ballerina dynamic, him going to her like performance of the Nutcracker and being front row, so good, so good. Also, another thing, which like it doesn't really bother me, but I feel like I need to at least acknowledge it, is that there's like no plot in this book. There's really none. I don't know, like they go on the road trip, yeah, but like that's not really the plot. It's really like, this is definitely more of a character focused, romance focused romance book. There really is not much of a plot, which I didn't really mind because I like character driven books. I was into the characters and the romance, so I didn't really mind. I don't mind witnessing characters or reading about characters that just go about their day-to-day lives and there's not really much of a plot, so it doesn't really bother me, but I could see it maybe not working for everyone. So yeah, overall I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. It made me raise my rating for Heartless to a 4.5. I actually haven't done it on like Goodreads or anything yet, but I'm definitely going to. I feel like the more I start thinking about this series, I'm like, do I raise my rating for the first one to a 4 star? Because it was like a 3.5, I think, is what I gave it. I think because like some of my favorite scenes within this book is seeing like all of the characters come together. It's just been really fun to see some of the characters from the other books come into this one, which is why I feel like whenever I see Summer and Rhett, I really like their dynamic, obviously as a relationship, but also like the way that they like interact with the other characters individually. Like I feel like I have liked Rhett more reading Heartless in this book than I did in his book. So that's why I'm like, do I raise my rating to the first one? I don't know. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. I did really like the characters. I liked the romance. I liked the development within these characters individually, but also their relationship. I just wish we had seen a little bit more of that development. But yeah, I still enjoyed it, and I'm sad that I'm like caught up now because now I have to wait for the next one, which comes out in June, which means that I'm definitely gonna have to renew my Kindle Unlimited subscription at some point just to read that book.
Feel a mile high when you're on my side, high up in the sky, cruising through the night.
I did start Mile High by Liz Tomford. I'm now 48% of the way through this book. I'm almost halfway, and this one's been really fun so far. You're following a flight attendant named Stevie. She's a flight attendant on this plane that is the plane for this hockey team, this professional hockey team, to bring them to their like away games. And then we also have Evan Zanders, who is on this hockey team. He's a player on this team, and he doesn't have like the best reputation. He's kind of known as like this bad boy, but really he's like kind of a softie. That's all basically a front. He's not really like that. When he cares about people, he really cares. He really loves them, and he's not the kind of person that the media makes him out to be, but he kind of plays into that so that he can hopefully like renew his contract for this hockey team. He wants to seem kind of valuable so that he can get another contract with the Chicago team because he doesn't want to leave Chicago. His family that he has kind of created, like his best friend and his best friend's wife and their kids, live in Chicago. He doesn't want to leave them, so he has to try to do what he can to stay on this team. And Stevie kind of wants to try and stay away from him because of his reputation and because she's been with athletes before and it has not ended well for her, but also because she's been told, because she is a flight attendant and works kind of for them, she was told to not really engage with them and not like hang out with them. But Xander's is very interested in her, even though he doesn't typically go for one girl. He's always trying to be with someone different. He never really has these types of feelings for someone. So it's just a fun dynamic so far. I really enjoy the like hockey player, flight attendant, she's on the plane that he and his team take. It is a fun setup. I also really like the banter between the two of them because I feel like he's kind of used to women reacting a certain way to him, and she's like, no, we're not doing that. She doesn't like put up with his crap, which I think is really fun to read. But also the two of them like keep running into each other when they've been out like traveling for a game. They've shown up at the same bars, and then also like at home they live in apartment buildings that are right across the street from each other, so they keep like running into each other, and it's just really fun to see that happen and the joke that they kind of have because of that. I've also been enjoying like this main character is not always the most confident in every aspect of her life. She is not always the most confident in her body because she's been kind of made to feel bad about it by other people in her life, and also she just like has some other insecurities due to, again, other people in her past in her life that have made her feel certain ways. And obviously like it's so important to be with someone that makes you feel good about yourself and doesn't make you feel even more insecure, and Xander is like definitely helping her in that aspect. He's definitely like accepting and loving her for who she is, which I think is so important, and it's making her feel a lot better about herself. It's not a relationship that is making her feel worse, which is so good because a lot of the relationships in her life, other than with her like twin brother, a lot of the like relationships with her mother and like her exes and her friends make her feel like crap. So it's good that she has someone in her life that is helping her to feel better about herself. I do think it's important for her to learn to love herself and be confident in herself and not base it off of other people, like base her self-worth and self-love off of other people, whether it's bad or good. But I do think it's important that she's with someone and that like this person who is trying to pursue her and that she's interested in is giving her confidence in areas where other people have made her feel bad. You can just tell that it's a lot more of a healthier relationship than she's used to, and it's kind of hard to read at times because I just feel so bad for her. And like some of the people in her life, I'm like, let's go, I'm ready to fight. It's already just being set up to be a much better situation and relationship for the both of them. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I am not like completely obsessed with it. I'm not like kicking my feet and like twirling my hair yet, but I'm enjoying it. I think it's fun. I also like a lot of the side characters. I know that the second book follows Stevie's brother, which I think will be really fun to read at some point, but I also really like Xander's best friend who's also on the hockey team, Madison. And also there's another character, Rio, who's like, he's barely in it, but he's another guy that's on the hockey team, and he's just really fun whenever he's in a scene. So yeah, overall, enjoying it. Really liking the characters, liking the romance and how it's developing. Not 100% like obsessed with it, but liking it so far. So I have now finished reading Mile High by Liz Tomford. I almost forgot the name of the book there for a minute. I finished reading this a couple of days ago. Also, don't mind me while I just do my makeup while we chat. And I did enjoy this one. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Everything that I was saying kind of before, I really liked the characters, like the main characters. I liked a lot of the side characters. The banter and the romance itself was really fun. And also something else I liked that I don't know if I mentioned before is there's such an importance put onto mental health in this book. Xander suffers with anxiety and he has panic attacks. He, you know, goes to therapy for these things. He's been in therapy, and him and his best friend Eli, I think is his first name, they kind of call him Madison throughout the whole book. So I think we see his first name like once and then never again, but she's written a book about him and his wife, which I didn't know going into this series that they have their own books about them. But him and his best friend have this like organization that's all about mental health in youth and like the importance of that and giving them like opportunities to see a therapist or just like work on their mental health, which I think is so great. I think it's so great to see that like representation and also just like putting the importance on those things. And kind of on the topic of mental health, Stevie herself has kind of like struggled with confidence in certain areas in her life. Sometimes she's very insecure about her body or just kind of like her self-worth, I guess, because she has been made to feel badly about her body. And a lot of times too, like she has always felt like a second choice to a lot of people because of like her exes. And so I liked that she was with someone that actually like encouraged her to be more confident and just didn't make her feel like crap, because like that's important in a relationship. But I was trying to say this like in my first update for this book and I couldn't figure out a way to word it. I could not make sense. Like I was stumbling over my words so much in that update. But something that I was worried about was she was going to continue to put her like self-worth and her confidence in the hands of other people. She has been made to feel bad about herself because of, you know, her mom, her exes, her friends in her past, and now like she's feeling a lot more confident because Xander gives her that confidence. And I was just worried that like she was going to keep relying on other people to like determine how she was going to feel about herself. And I think there was a really good conversation about that where Xander even told her like, I'm glad that I can like encourage you and support you, but like you need to work on this yourself. What is the actual quote? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, yeah, so they're talking about like kind of their insecurities or the things that they're struggling with, and they're talking about like accepting each other. And he says, and I accept you, but more importantly than all of that, at some point you're going to need to accept yourself. And so I think it was good that there was that conversation between them, that he was like, I can't be the reason and your sole reason for being confident in yourself. You need to work on that on your own. And I definitely feel like Stevie does work on that throughout the book. There was a point where she's like, I've always felt like a second option and a second choice, but like I can choose myself. And I just thought it was really great to see that development and see her become so like confident, but for herself and not for anybody else, whether it was good or bad. Yeah, I just think that these characters did a lot of like growth throughout this book, and like there were definitely aspects of their life that they were struggling with, and I think the both of them really worked on those things throughout this book. I didn't love that like the third act conflict slash breakup was like a big motivation for some of them to work on things, but I liked the way that they went about working on these things, and if the breakup had to happen for them to do it, then I guess it makes sense. I just don't love the third act breakup. It's just not my favorite thing. But yeah, overall, I really did enjoy it. Did I say I gave this 4 stars? I definitely feel like there were aspects of this book where I was like, okay, like let's just move it along. Like it kind of felt like at moments it would be dragging, even though I liked everything that was going on in this book. And I think it being as long as it was, it allowed there to be time for all of the different storylines and different like problems and conflicts that these characters had to deal with, whether that was like their mental health or, you know, issues with people in their life. Like it allowed there to be time given to all of those things. But I do feel like there were moments when I was reading this where I was just like, okay, like let's just move it along. Like it just felt like I was reading this book for a really long time because it was just, I think, a bit too long for me. I do feel like sometimes too, like some of the characters felt very like one-dimensional. I feel like it was mostly the characters that were kind of providing issues for the main characters. So like both of these characters' moms have given them problems in the past, and both of their moms just kind of felt a bit like one-dimensional, like their only purpose was to cause problems for both Stevie and Xander, and that was it. They weren't really given much more depth to that, so they felt a little like one-dimensional and just like they had that purpose and that was it. And then there was also another character who was kind of the one that told Stevie that she couldn't, like as she worked for this hockey team, like she couldn't be seen or she couldn't really hang out with them. She kind of felt a bit like her purpose was to provide that conflict for Stevie and Xander's, but like other than that, she wasn't given much else of a personality. Like, I don't know. Some of the characters just, I think, especially the ones that were there to provide issues or conflicts for the 2 main characters, like they didn't really have much depth to them. But a lot of the other side characters were really great. Like I was saying, I learned that Madison or Eli Madison, I think Madison's his last name, him and his wife Logan have their own books. And then the second book in this series is following Ryan and Indy, who Ryan is Stevie's brother and Indy is the girl that she worked with on the flights. So I think it makes sense that they were fleshed out because they all are getting their own books or they have their own books, which I'm very excited for the Ryan and Indy one. Like I feel like everyone loves that book so much, and so I'm really excited. Plus I just really liked their characters from what we saw in this first book. So yeah, a lot of the other side characters I felt like were a bit more fleshed out, had a bit more personality, a little bit more to them, but some of them did feel just a little like one-dimensional. And like I said, this book I think was just a little too long for me personally. But other than that, I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars and I'm happy that I read it, and I definitely want to continue on with the series. Okay, so my next book for this vlog, also a little behind the scenes. I'm filming this before I finished Mile High, but my Kindle Unlimited subscription, she's running out soon. We only have a certain amount of time. For that reason, but also the fact that I feel like this month is Black History Month, and I feel like I've been really slacking on reading from Black authors. So I went through my Kindle like wish list of the things that are on Kindle Unlimited that I want to read and wanted to find something from a Black author. So I think the maybe last thing of this vlog, I don't know, I might try and read both books by this author because they're both novellas. So they're only like 180 pages each. But I think I'm going to read That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. This is by Kimberly Lemming. And first of all, that title is just iconic. The second one is also really funny. I don't remember what it's called. That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. They're just so good. It's so iconic. I think they're like both like cozy fantasy romances, so it just seems really fun. And like I was saying, they're both pretty short. The first one is 185 pages, so I'm at least going to read this one before my Kindle Unlimited subscription runs out. Tomorrow is going to be a very like snowy day. I feel like it's just going to be a great day to cozy up on the couch and read some like cozy fantasy romances. So that's going to be a vibe. Might read both, but definitely going to read the first one, which is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. And I can't wait. Okay, I have also finished the fifth and final book for this vlog. I started reading That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon yesterday, and I finished it yesterday. It was a pretty quick read, and I was pleasantly surprised by this book. Not that I was expecting to dislike it, because like I went on to Goodreads and so many people give this book like 4 and 5 stars, so I can't say I'm surprised that I enjoyed it, but I don't know, I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. I think I said when I was talking about this book, when I said I was going to read this next, that this was like a cozy fantasy romance, and it definitely, like, the fantasy aspect of it does feel pretty cozy, but it's still a romance, so remember that. But the kind of premise for this book is that we're following Cinnamon and her family have this farm where they grow spices, one of them being cinnamon. One of the things I liked about this book was that the like humor was kind of like corny and cheesy, but just like in the best way. Like it was so much fun. But she one night is drunk and stumbles upon a demon and ends up saving him. And this demon's name is Fallon. She ends up learning from him that this goddess that the humans have kind of like worshipped all these years, because they believe that she is the one that keeps these demons away from them. She's the one protecting them from the demons. Turns out that's all a lie. In reality, she is like this undead evil witch, basically. Years and years and years and years ago, she kind of enslaved and took over all of these demons and kind of put them under this curse that makes them do what she wants them to do and makes them kind of these evil demons that the humans know. So the demons in reality are not as evil as the humans think they are. They're just under this woman's, this like undead witch's curse. So Fallon ends up getting Cinnamon's help in traveling across the this world and this land to break this curse and go against this undead witch. And this was so much fun. It definitely had more of a plot than I was anticipating. I think I was just expecting it to be like a little bit of fantasy with mostly a romance, but there really is that plot. They're really traveling across the land to go to the different temples to destroy these like artifacts that keep this like undead woman alive, basically. So yeah, they're like traveling throughout the land together. They come across different people and different creatures and demons that they kind of pull into their group to kind of help them defeat this undead witch. And honestly, I don't really feel like strongly about like a road trip kind of vibe in like a contemporary setting, but in a fantasy setting, when you have to see characters kind of travel through different places and they have to like camp and make fire and find food, and especially like in a romance, because then there's like tension. I just really enjoy like reading about a journey like that in a fantasy book. So that was really fun, and it almost had like a found family aspect as well because of all of the different people and creatures that they come across and get them to like help them in their journey. I also really liked Fallon and Cinnamon as like individual characters, but also like the romance itself, the banter between them, the humor, just like everything about this book was so good. I don't know, I just really liked every aspect of this book. Like there really wasn't anything that I disliked. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I'm kind of contemplating just raising it to a 5 because I really did enjoy this. I thought it was just so much fun. Yeah, I don't know, it was just like such an easy thing to get sucked into. The world was really interesting, the characters were really great, the humor was great, everything about it was just so fun, and I just really enjoyed my time. I wasn't really sure like going into it if I was gonna enjoy it as much as I did, just because it is like a romance with a demon, and I'm like wasn't quite sure how I was gonna feel about that, but it was a good time. Yeah, I don't know, it's hard to talk about this book because it is so short. Like I don't want to say too much because I feel like I could just easily spoil the whole thing for you all, but it was just really fun. I just had a really good time. But that is everything that I ended up picking up in the month of February, kind of in the last month that I had my current Kindle Unlimited subscription, and I definitely think that this was a success. I had a 3.5 star rating, I had 2 4 stars, and 2 4.5 stars. So I'm really happy with what I managed to read for this vlog and what I ended up picking up on Kindle Unlimited. I did, however, cancel my current subscription of Kindle Unlimited. I know. After such a great month of reading Kindle Unlimited romances, you'd think I'd want to continue on. And I do. I just don't think like every month I'm going to read as many Kindle Unlimited books as I did this month. As we saw, like the first couple of months that I had this Kindle Unlimited subscription, I really did not use it that much. So I just want to make sure that I'm paying for it when I'm actually using it. But I definitely think at some point in the future, I will be renewing my subscription 100% because now I've started so many series that I want to continue on with. So I definitely will renew it at some point. I just don't have it right now. But I'm glad that I was able to use it a lot this month and got to kind of realize that I do enjoy the Kindle Unlimited subscription and it's something that I definitely want to renew at some point. And I'm glad I just took advantage of using it while I still had it. So yeah, I'm very happy that I managed to read as much as I did on Kindle Unlimited this month. But I would love to know if any of you have read any of these books that I read in this vlog, any of your thoughts, if you liked them, if you disliked them. I'd love to have a chat about any of these books down below. Also, if you have any recommendations from Kindle Unlimited, I'd love to hear them because, as I've mentioned multiple times, I will be renewing my Kindle Unlimited subscription at some point. So I'm going to be looking for recommendations there. But yeah, I think that that is going to be it for this Kindle Unlimited reading vlog. So thank you all so much for watching and I will see you in my next one. Bye.